Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to MOVIEidol. So here is my review for Fear the Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 4. I was really busy last night, which is pretty rare for a Sunday. Usually I have my Sundays like free because I know I have to review The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead or something like that. And yeah, so I had to watch the episode this morning and then review it, which is really weird. Watching The Walking Dead or anything Walking Dead related just in the morning is just so weird. I'm used to staying up until midnight doing videos on Sunday nights, but yeah, anyways, last night's episode was really a great episode. I do have some issues with it, obviously, but for me, it was the best episode I think of this season, which isn't really saying a lot. I don't mean to shit on Fear the Walking Dead. I would say Season 5 is definitely an improvement over Season 4, but when you compare Fear the Walking Dead to The Walking Dead, I don't think there's really a comparison to be made. So when I say this episode is a great episode, it was a great episode, but when The Walking Dead has a great episode, I mean, I think that would still outweigh Fear the Walking Dead. I think the issue that Fear the Walking Dead has is that it doesn't really have an identity right now, and I think that's really what it is. The Walking Dead has like this brand sort of thing, right? Like you have these certain characters that you're watching for, or something that's very familiar, something that's been there since Season 1, whereas on Fear the Walking Dead, stuff has changed so much, and it's not even just the characters and like who's the main character now and stuff like that, and who the story follows. It's the look, the theme song, everything. It's just been rebranded, and it feels different. So I think that's why Fear is suffering right now. But this season so far has been really good, and I'm hoping the rest of the season is like this. Also, a lot of people want me to do some sort of like 200K celebration video or something like that, so I'm going to have a video coming out later this week. It's not going to be like the celebration or anything like that. I still might include some stuff in there. I'm not too sure, but I will have some channel updates. Nothing big at all, just like minor stuff, like very, very minor stuff. And I will be releasing merch as well. I'm working with a lot of artists to get some good designs and all of that. So it's taking a little bit. I wanted to have all this stuff worked out for when I hit 200K and have the timing line up. But yeah, hopefully those artists can actually get those designs done. And hopefully they're good because I'm only going with ones that are good. Which also reminds me, I will be giving away some merch to people. But I'll announce that in a video later this week or whenever I can actually have the merch and I can see what it's going to look like. Before we jump in, I do have to warn you for spoilers for Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 Episode 4. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. That's just at MOVIEidol for updates on The Walking Dead, as well as subscribe here on YouTube for videos like this. One of my biggest takeaways, I think, for this episode was that it was a Daniel episode. It was a really big Daniel episode. Yes, the helicopter stuff and, we're taking off at the end. That was exciting. Probably my biggest WTF moment, but Daniel and Strand sort of working things out along with the Abraham Easter egg that Daniel mentioned. It was really a very great Daniel episode. I think better than episode 2. The actor is definitely helping the series right now. There's so much that he gives in every scene that he's in. I also just love his choice in music. Exactly the type of music that I listen to. Just like old classic stuff. And I mean, that's not all I listen to. I listen to like a lot of rock, CCR is amazing, AC/DC, GNR, Van Halen, Zeppelin, list goes on and on. But, older stuff to me is just amazing. Right now, I'm really into just like old horror music stuff or maybe like Robert Johnson, Blind Willie Johnson. And anyways, my point is all of his scenes with Charlie, I just found astounding. The actress actually did some amazing work here. I haven't really been much of a Charlie fan because, her killing Nick and all. Also, I think the writers or showrunners really weren't giving her a lot to do or couldn't find something for her, but she works with Daniel really well. I think that would be a really great father-daughter relationship there because Daniel lost his daughter, right? In a very tragic way. They have a chemistry that works, personally for me anyways. So I would love to see more scenes between them together. And hopefully we get more of that. If you were wondering about that Abraham Easter egg and what that could mean, or even what I'm talking about with that, well, Fear just set up some crazy connections to The Walking Dead and perhaps gave Abraham a way back into The Walking Dead universe, obviously via flashbacks or maybe an Abraham and Daniel movie in the future. Now, what Easter egg was this? Well, it was during the scene in which Daniel was explaining how he acquired such a warehouse. He said he didn't set the traps up himself, it was someone else that did that. And when he was talking to Strand and the rest about, everything is yours in here except that cigar. A friend told me to smoke it when things get better. That friend? Abraham. It's not 100% confirmed or anything, but Abraham was from Texas and smokes these cigars. I do think that's Gimple's way in connecting Abraham to Fear the Walking Dead, which is really going to be sad, I think, when Daniel finds out that he died, and died by Negan. Really cool to think of what type of stories The Walking Dead can create in the future if they ever get Daniel, Eugene, and Rosita together. They all have that Abraham connection, right? Daniel easily could have been in Alexandria had he went with Abraham back then. He would have met Negan, Dwight, Morgan. There's a way for him to meet 2 of those 3, maybe even all 3 one day, but that's just really cool to think about. Abraham is just that one character that I think would have been perfect on Fear if they never did the time jumps and all of that, because obviously with this timeline they can't now, right? They jumped so far in the future that where Fear is at now, Abraham's already dead, but they could do flashback episodes maybe with Daniel, but I feel like that would be very lackluster because it would just be one episode. I would prefer a movie of some sort, maybe just an Abraham movie, and then you can have Daniel cameo and then Eugene and Rosita obviously a part of it too. This also isn't the first Abraham Easter egg either. Abraham and Eugene were mentioned back in season 4, if you remember, on Althea's tapes. There was that tape that said Abe/Doctor, so you can kind of see how things played out. Abraham was alone, and also with Daniel. He then left and then found Eugene and then eventually Althea. Unless maybe he was with Eugene when he was with Daniel, which could mean that Eugene knows Daniel, which would be really cool. Eugene knows Althea anyway, so if they ever want to do a crossover of sorts, that's a relationship they can easily form, right? It'd be a really nice reunion. Our first time seeing it, but story-wise, it would be a reunion. But Daniel and Strand seem to have worked stuff out. Daniel, I don't think was ever really going to kill Strand, but yeah, I don't know. Their relationship is pretty interesting. It's really intense sometimes. I'm glad they got to the point that they're at now because in episode 2, I believe Daniel sent Strand away, and my initial reaction was like, oh no, not this type of story again. We know where this is going to be going. You know, we know they're going to meet up again. I'm just so sick of them sending people away and them coming back later. It's just the same old type of thing that The Walking Dead always does in general. Stuff with Carol and her always wanting to leave communities all the time. It's like, fine, just leave if you don't want to come back. Same thing with Morgan and his back and forth with like life and death. But no, 2 episodes later, they cleared that up really fast. They're back together and we're actually moving towards something now. The pacing this season actually has picked up quite a bit, which I really, really like. I don't know if you've noticed, but they'll do quick travel a lot. They've done it a few times in the last few episodes where our characters are just like in these places now, which is a move I applaud because I think that's why season 7 and 8 of The Walking Dead just lacked pacing wise, because you had all of those communities, but they traveled to them as if it was like season 4 or 5. They did real-time traveling then. Angela King was the first to fix that with season 9. A lot of our characters were just there out of nowhere, right? Like they'll leave Alexandria and by the end of the episode just be at Hilltop or the Kingdom or something. Or sometimes a scene after they'll be there. It's nice. If you have that many communities, it's just something I think you need to do to keep that interest there. This way you can just, get into stuff faster and like I said, keep the interest there. So yeah, Fear doing this is very smart right now. Now, a few things I had issues with in this episode, and I don't know if this is really going to be a trend for Fear the Walking Dead, but I'm hoping it's not. And there's a lot of cringe. There's so much cringe with Fear the Walking Dead right now. Last week's was the San Antonio split or whatever it's called with, the splitting bullets and killing those walkers. That was really bad. This episode had the walker moving the machine gun, shooting the window. That just seemed very unnecessary to me. Also, when Morgan and Alicia saved those kids, that weird Western superhero-like music, like what the hell was that? Imagine Rick or Daryl or someone doing that, and then you just have like that or whatever music there. It's just cringy, and it's just so unneeded. And that's also another complaint I have right now. It's with the walkers, and just, I don't know what they're doing with them. This does add to the cringe, I guess, but it's just how walkers aren't even dangerous anymore. It's weird. They did one cool moment, which I'll talk about in a second, but you had this moment where this little girl or that kid or whatever, I can't remember her name, but these walkers were about to kill her and they were literally on her and she should have been bitten in that moment, but nothing happens. It's like, what the hell happened? It breaks the immersion for me. Carl got bit because a walker fell on him in the same way. It's just useless plot that's written there for no reason. I think it's just very unneeded. There's a lot of other ways to write scenes like that. I wish our characters made way more effort, or I guess that the writers made way more effort to have our characters stay away from walkers because they're supposed to be dangerous. A scratch, anything, that's supposed to kill you. Season 1 of The Walking Dead or the earlier seasons are a good example of that. They tried to stay away from them at all times. Do not get near the walkers. Now it's just like, who gives a shit? They grab your leg, doesn't matter. So hopefully there aren't more scenes like that because I just hate them so much. But the one walker kill that I really did like in tonight's episode was the scene where Daniel was running towards Althea's military vehicle or whatever. He tries to open the doors, fails because the walkers are just way too close, and then he goes under the truck right away. He just drops fast and goes under. That's real as hell, and I loved it. I was worried that somehow he was going to get in, somehow he would just kind of push them off and they would just like, they'd move over and he would get in. I was like, please don't do that, it's going to be so cringy. But no, he just gave up and was like, I'm not going to make it. And so he crawls under. I thought that was really cool. Some other big Walking Dead season 1 mentions as well. Morgan mentioned his wife and son by name, told Alicia the whole story about how he couldn't kill his wife, and because of that, she killed their son, and how that mistake cost him his son, and how he has to live with that. And I really just want more of this. I want more of Morgan talking about his family or dealing with something like that. I think it's a big issue with Morgan right now. He doesn't have a relationship with anyone. He's just alone. And I think that's why if they do the Commonwealth Michonne storyline from the comics, and if they ever did reintroduce Dwayne there, the revelation of his survival, I think, would change Morgan so much. He would question his very existence. He would question everything. And I think we can get a lot of amazing stuff out of Lenny James from that. People like to bring up the plot holes and all of that, but there are so many ways you can get around that. You really could. You can easily say that Morgan went just too crazy then, because we saw him back in season 3. He was insane. Maybe he was like that way before that. Seeing his wife Jenny out there, he just went insane, and maybe he thought he saw Dwayne die, but he didn't. Morgan just ran away and left him there. There's ways to get out of that. If Morgan leaves Fear this season, like in a season 5 finale, and goes to the Rick Grimes movies, Dwayne could be there. That's a way to do it. If this group that Rick's with is like the show's version of the Commonwealth, Dwayne could easily be alive because they brought Michonne's daughter back, right? So never say never. It's not like we saw the death, and the way Morgan explains the death, there's definitely ways you can write his survival out of that, because where has he been this entire time? Well, he's been with this group, right? Now, the big helicopter scene was just really amazing and had the same symbol as the one on Jadis's helicopter, or I guess it wasn't her helicopter, but you know what I mean. So the plot's getting a lot better. I was worried that the kids would hurt the plot of Fear. The revelation that they were the ones setting up the barriers, I hated. But they said that these people are taking them down or something like that. So something's up with that. They're just coming in, maybe taking people or something. Maybe it has to do with the radiation. And then they're just leaving like we saw at the end of this episode. Next week is a big Althea and Rick movie episode, so I'm really hyped for that. Like, really get hyped for this week's episode because there's going to be a ton of stuff to talk about. I'll do a full trailer breakdown of what to expect from that episode right after this video, so make sure to be a subscriber to get that. As for any lasting thoughts on this episode, I'm really wondering, is Althea on that helicopter? Because it seems like next week's episode is sort of, I guess, kind of a flashback. It's going to be a standalone Althea episode, and I really am excited for it. Sarah Wayne Callies is actually directing the episode, so I'm excited for that. It's kind of cool to have Lori directing that episode and all the connections to Rick. But yeah, great episode. I like all the Rick Grimes stuff. All the Daniel stuff was sort of interesting. But as of now, I'm excited for Fear the Walking Dead, kind of. But I really just want to see if there's going to be any interest there once all the Rick Grimes stuff is done. Like, can I continue watching and at least be excited for what's happening when all the Rick stuff is done? I don't know at this point. We'll see. But post your thoughts down below. What did you think of episode 4? Hope you all enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.